So, okay, this episode is called The Caste System. So it opens up, it's spring in New York City, which
oh my God, I almost started sobbing, crying.
No longer exists, y'all.
Well, no, it exists. This week that she talks about.
This one little week.
This exists. God. But I almost started crying because it's the first snow day.
Yeah, I know.
Winter today. I was like, oh my God, it's so far from right now.
So far from right now. Winter just started. God damn it. Anyways, Carrie's got straight hair. I hate it.
God, I know. I hate this.
I hate
era.
it. Yeah, I really do too. I hope it lasts for like just this one episode and that's it. She's at Biggs. They're reading the newspaper. She says this is the first time she realized that she loved him. The first time that she felt like saying it is when he took her to the ballet and she kind of, was almost on the tip of her tongue type of thing. And then last Friday, he came over to pick her up, take her out to dinner. And he gifts her this.
Oh my God, a Judith Lieber, which are
that
back.
What that is?
Yeah,
oh,
Judith
God.
Lieber bag. Yeah.
It's just like a bedazzled duck clutch.
Yeah, it used to be a real old lady, Judith.
Very old. It's giving grandma going to the gala.
Yeah. They're thousands of dollars too.
I'm
Very
sure.
Expensive. Yeah.
And that's when she said, I love you. And in true big fashion, he just like awkwardly kisses her on the nose.
And then books it out the house.
Yeah. Says nothing, acknowledges nothing, just like leaves.
I love you. You told Big I love you because he gave you that? What did you think it was? A large diamond duck ring?
Now, the next day, brunch with the ladies. She's like, look, I either gotta get I love you back or break up with him, and he's got a week. Miranda is weirdly optimistic, which is obviously not Miranda. And she's like, well, maybe he's like trying to figure out how to say it back. So what's going on with Miranda, because obviously this is very weird, she's usually the cynical one. She is still with Steve, the bartender. Very happy. He worships her. We see them out for a little pizza dinner. And she invites him to her firm's annual holiday dinner, on annual dinner.
And caveat here, she is only going out for him for pizza because she knows he can afford it.
Yes. Yeah.
He can afford to treat her.
Take her out to pizza dinner, which I love. I mean, I'm never going to refuse pizza as a date night even. Like, I'll take it. I fucking love pizza. So anyways, he tells her he's down for the dinner, but she tells him he has to wear a suit. He only has a gold corduroy suit. Friend, I couldn't help but wonder.
I couldn't help but wonder.
What are your thoughts on corduroy? Do you have any thoughts?
Oh my God, I have so many terrible memories because of our dress code in our high school.
Oh yeah, that's like one of the things you could wear. It's corduroy. We couldn't wear jeans. Yeah.
So I see it as such a like nasty, terrible option from the Gap that is always flared, never fits, has no stretch, is way too warm, yeast infection down, and will just never really be like stylish. Will really be for utilitarian purposes. What about you?
I'm laughing because I own so much corduroy.
I'm sure you do. I know you do. I know you have a corduroy overall.
Yes, I do.
Skirt set. I know you do.
Yep. I have a corduroy romper. I have a corduroy skirt overall. I have a corduroy like regular overalls. I have corduroy pants. I love corduroy. That's like one of my, for fall, winter, I throw on a corduroy. I also love the word corduroy. Like, I love to say corduroy. Like,
that's my worst nightmare. I look at it, I feel it, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm back in high school, and I have to put it right back. I can't handle it.
Utilitarian? Oh my God. I'm over here like, it's so stylish. What do you mean? Anyways, Miranda, she goes back to Steve's apartment for the first time. It's the first time we're seeing his apartment. It looks like Steve's apartment.
It actually looked pretty nice, if I'm going to be honest. Yeah. Considering what niggas' apartments be looking like. It was like decorations.
Yeah.
Like,
he had some pictures up.
Yeah. It was art and books.
It looked lived in, Yeah. So yeah, she's at his apartment, they're making out. That's when she spots the horrific suit in the corner. He's like, fuck. Now the ladies go out for pedicures. They talk about Steve the bartender and the fact that he's a bartender and he has no other aspirations. Charlotte like assumed he was like an artist / bartender.
Yeah.
Miranda's like, nope, just a bartender. Like no other. He just loves bartending.
He's not an artist / bartender. He's just happy being a bartender, period. No aspirations beyond shaking the cocktails and refilling the peanut bowls.
But she says the sex is good. She doesn't really care that he's a bartender or that, you know, she makes more money. Like it's not of concern to her. She's more worried if her success will start to bother him as it does for, you know, many men before him. And she doesn't want to apologize for her success. Charlotte is just like disgusted. Like she can't believe that Miranda's dating someone who lives off tips. Like the way Charlotte puts it's nuts. And Carrie brings up the point that, you know, rich men date not so rich women all the time. It's more so about compatibility. Like, why are we thinking about class and money and all of that? But Charlotte just makes it real bad. She's like, we don't live in a classless society. Like, it's not just about income. People have different backgrounds, educations, and it matters to some people. It just does, which, you know, with Charlotte definitely matters to her. Samantha shares that she's dating a new real estate mogul who, speaking of class, he is so wealthy, I presume. He has a servant.
That's wild.
Very wild.
A term servant.
A term servant. And then this whole character is very problematic.
She's very problematic. Very problematic, yes.
So we meet homeboy. He has a Thai servant lady named Sum, who waits on him hand and foot. She speaks in, you know, broken English. And it's just like, Lord,
she's playing a character herself, though, like within the character.
Within the character.
Like, she's also like scheming him down with this perception of her that he wants her to have, that she's like this innocent Thai lady, and she's definitely not. She's plotting on stealing his will. It's so obvious.
Totally. Yeah.
I kind of wish she had a few more lines so that we could get more clarity.
See her characterization a little bit. Yeah. And Jody, we need like a POC counter. This is like the number. This is like the third person of color with lines.
1, 2, 3.
That's like 2 seasons. Jesus. But yeah, he has this servant lady, calls her his servants. Very bizarre. And then anyways, Carrie's working on her piece, which is questioning, can we date outside of our caste? As she says. Now, that night, Carrie and Big go out to dinner. It's been 2 days now since she dropped the I love you. She's convinced that tonight is the night. He's going to say it. This is it.
She just...
And he kind of like tees up like he's going to say something and then tells her, you know, you can take back the purse if you don't like it. Meanwhile, Charlotte at her gallery, a movie star, Wiley Ford, walks in. And she talks about movie stars being like the upper echelon of the cast. Like they're even more exclusive than like rich people. Like they're in another stratosphere. So he walks in, he's a fucking idiot. He tries to buy.
Really dumb.
He's so dumb. He sees the fire extinguisher on the wall. He thinks it's art. He wants to buy it. Just an idiot.
And there's flaunting, right? Like, how much is this? Like,
horrible.
Oh my God. Ugh.
So they ditch the gallery. She's making out with him in the back of his limo. He's calling her Charlene. Like, doesn't give a fuck about Charlotte at all. Meanwhile, Samantha stays the morning at her dude's apartment. And okay, he leaves her in bed. He goes to work and asks the servant, quote unquote, to cook her breakfast. As soon as he leaves, the servant boots Samantha out, wants nothing to do with her. And it's just, she has her own agenda, which I love for her. Now, Miranda takes Steve shopping for a new suit and shoes. And she says it's her treat. You know, don't worry about it. Steve is like, oh, no way. Like, there's no way. Like, I'm going to think of you as my mother if I have you buy me something. So he attempts to purchase it. His card declines. He's like, put $200 on this card. Then I want to check for this. And then the rest in piecing together these pennies he does not have to try to buy the suit that he, like, what are you doing? Now, Carrie and Big, they go to this very stuffy Upper East Side apartment,
house party,
penthouse party, basically. All the women there are carrying Judith Lieberman, fucking watermelon, cat, like all these random
the eggplant, which had a resurgence after emojis came.
Was there?
Judith Lieber became like young and hip and fun.
With an
Because they're
eggplant
emoji
clutch.
purses.
They basically are emojis. Yeah, you're right. That's what
so you're
it
walking
is.
around with a dick purse, which is funny and fun and young and funky, not
Yeah.
old, nasty, and weird.
Which is what it was
Which is
given
what it used
back
to
in.
be.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Beyonce, who wore the Roll of Money Judith Lieber bag, which is still on my list.
Amazing. So yeah, Carrie's just looking around at all of these women with these hideous purses. She's carrying her little swan purse just to make him happy, but she then kind of hits her that he doesn't know her at all. Like she's not anything like any of these women. And clearly, who the fuck is she with? He doesn't even know who she is. So anyways, she's lighting up a cigarette. She's talking shit about the party, talking shit about the host. Big is like,
She's more Carrie with friends than she is Carrie with Big.
She kind of lets her hair down a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. She's also just like pissed. He hasn't said I love you yet. He brought her to this stuffy ass party where she hates everybody. Like, so anyway, she's smoking her cigarette. The host boots her out to the terrace. On the terrace, she bumps into Jeremiah, who is, I think, like cater waitering the party, but she knows him as a performance artist, downtown type of dude. And they've had this little flirtatious relationship for a few years. So he has this new tattoo on his like fucking groin. She's looking at it. She's getting all close and personal, looking at his fucking junk. And the host comes out, sees her. She goes inside, tells Big that Carrie is like basically giving head to this dude,
blowing somebody outside and smoking while doing it. Yep.
And Big tells her, you're embarrassing me. Like, keep it together. They get into a tiff.
Which is not the first time he's done that to her.
Yeah. She ends up leaving the party with Jeremiah. We see Carrie, she goes downtown, they get margaritas, we see them walking home, singing, drunk. They make out on the sidewalk. She brings him up to the house and she says that's the last thing that she remembers. Meanwhile, Charlotte is out with the actor dude and his entourage. She's clearly out of place. This guy sucks.
She literally has in a claw clip.
This is like her best like groupie little moment. She's trying so hard.
And like a tube top. Like she's just trying so hard. The styling in this episode was, I would say, excellent. Patricia Field. Even Carrie's outfit at the party, I was like, oh, she looks so she had so many patterns on.
She looks so different than the
like
women.
A sore thumb. And that purse didn't go with that outfit at all.
Yeah. That outfit barely went with the outfit. Like it was so many different patterns. Like so yeah, Charlotte's out doing the most. Wiley, this actor dude, tells her he wants her to go to the bathroom, finger herself, come back and let him smell it. And says it with so much boldness as if he says this to all the girls and the girls just do it.
He might as well have said it with a megaphone to the whole fucking club.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Ooh.
Finally, Charlotte draws a line because this is just, girl, what? Samantha now is having dinner with her guy. She tries to tell him that Sum was mean to her, and he defends Sum, the servant woman. Then her and homeboy just have sex. He goes off to the bathroom or whatever. Sum comes in and is like calling Samantha a whore, you disgusting whore. And
Yep.
she got her own agenda, as you said. This is supposed to be her man. She's trying to get this green card. She had, girl, you are disrupting. And that money. So please. So she falls to the ground all dramatically and accuses Samantha of hitting her. He comes to her defense, kicks Samantha out.
Of course. Yep.
Now, Miranda's all ready for the firm dinner. Steve shows up at her apartment in t-shirt and jeans.
Yeah.
Tells her he returned the suit because he very obviously couldn't afford it. And he tells her he didn't feel good about himself when they're in the store. She deserves somebody better. There's always going to be ways that he's not going to be able to measure up to her. And she's obviously upset because she's like, I feel like you're punishing me for being successful. And then slams the door in his face. At dinner, we see her wondering, is there anything wrong with corduroy anyways?
Yeah.
Reflecting, should I have just let him wear what he wanted to wear? Now, back with Carrie, she wakes up the next morning in her clothes, homeboy's in bed with her.
Yeah, they on top of the sheets. They clearly have done nothing.
Clearly did nothing. But she don't remember nothing, so.
Yeah.
Big calls her and he says, I know why you're mad. I just need you to let me do things on my own time. and then kind of drops, well, I fucking love you. I do. It's tough for me to say because I always get into trouble when I say I love you.
How is he the center of this? Still.
And also, I do. No, I don't. I do not know.
Clearly don't. There's another man in here who I have his mouth covered with my other hand. Right. I clearly don't know.
I don't know. And she's like, I love you too. Call you later. And then kind of ends the episode basically revealing that she's not going to tell Big about this and says, quote, everything before I love you doesn't count.
Love that attitude. Love that. I agree. Absolutely, Carrie.
Oh my
God. That ugly ass, nasty ass bag that he made you carry to the stupid ass party. And then he got mad at you because you were allegedly blowing someone out in the street when you haven't told me I love you back and you haven't even addressed it. And then you called me on my phone in the morning. Talking about I fucking love you, but it's all about me anyway.
Right. And I love you. I don't. No, I don't. You didn't say it to me. And you didn't say shit afterwards about anything.
Exactly.
So how would I know? And that was the episode, my friends. All right, so let's get into this question. Can we date outside our caste? We'll come back to Big and Carrie and their whole mess. But a lot of this episode is about Miranda and Steve's dynamic, right?
Yes.
So I want to start with kind of what the ladies were talking about at the pedicure at the nail salon. Why is it okay for men with money to date, quote unquote, below their caste? But it's a whole thing when women do.
Yeah. Well, I think it's how the society works. We are in a society where men are still making the majority of the wealth. So it just does make sense that they make more of the money. But Charlotte says things like, that's just how it is. But that literally is just how it is. Like, we're still making steps towards getting the dollar on the dollar. So I think that's why. Because I think in other societies, it's probably different. And it's okay for a woman to make more than the man. Or it's only okay for people who date in their own or in the same bracket to date. As we see on like Indian matchmaking, for example.
Right. Yeah. I think why it's okay for men and not women, as you said, like this is how the society is set up. This is how we've been set up since the dawn of time, basically. Men and women, we've all been socialized under the same system of women. We've been trained to look for a provider, and men have been trained to provide. And for them, they're seeking a woman who's a nurturer, like a caregiver. It's an issue now in 2025. It was an issue back then in 1999. Where women have been providing for themselves.
Right.
And have been paying our own rents and making our own strides professionally and no longer need a provider. We more so need a man to tend to our emotional needs, our physical needs, and, more than anything. And so our circumstances have made us adapt our needs and desires in a partner. However, a lot of men still want to be a provider. They still want a woman who's a nurturer. They don't know what to do with a woman who can provide for herself. That's what they say. They don't know what to do with a woman who's a boss bitch and, spends more time at work or in the boardroom than at home baking cookies and taking care of the kids. Like, they literally don't know what to do. I remember listening to an episode of Higher Learning where Van, the way he put this, it's just stuck with me. We are all operating on like iOS 25. And there are some men who are still operating on iOS 2.5. Like, they just haven't figured out yet that it's not a bad thing that a woman makes her own money and is a professional and is successful. There can actually be a lot of benefits to that kind of partner and that type of partnership. But there's a lot of men who are still so hyper focused on sticking with the program and are still so wired in iOS 2.5 that we've all been socialized under that, but we've adapted. That all they know the program is, I have to be the provider. That's it. I'm the provider. And any woman operating to the contrary, they see as not attractive, a threat, emasculating, intimidating. and they just prefer to be in that more traditional dynamic because for a lot of things, the socialization, but also it caters to their ego, being the successful one in the relationship.
Yeah.
They literally don't know what to do with themselves if they're with a woman who is more successful than them, because that just throws off their whole programming. And so it does leave a lot of women now, I think, a lot of successful women, a lot of Miranda types struggling to find a partner, because I think there are a lot more men than we think who are actually operating on iOS 2.5.
A lot more. Yeah.
A lot more than we would like to believe, but it's just true. Miranda was 1999. We're still talking about this same exact, difference in successful women being able to find a partner. Like, it's the same shit we're talking about damn near 30 years later.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think what's interesting about this conversation is now a woman dating below her caste, quote unquote, just sheer numbers wise, it's just happening more and more because that's just, I don't know what the exact statistics are, but more women are educated.
We're overeducated.
We're overeducated. Yeah. And so we're having no choice but to adapt, as we are very adept at doing. But it's real hit or miss, because you may find a gem who really champions your success.
Yeah.
Or you're going to find a man who is intimidated by it. And you find yourself dimming your lights or thinking, am I doing something wrong? Should I be, and really made to feel like, damn, can I find somebody who's going to be okay with this? This being my success?
I think that's some of the work that Miranda didn't want to do, that kind of emotional labor of Steve. When he said, "This reminds me of my mother," I said, oh, okay. So you were... There's something about you not feeling good enough in scenarios and you not being able to receive help in scenarios, which is probably what we need to focus on more than the provider. I make more money than you and I went to school and you didn't.
Right. Yeah.
It's probably deeper than that.
It could be, yeah.
But when I'm a lawyer and I want to be partner and I'm out here also buying you a suit, I don't want to do that work. You go out and do that work yourself. Yeah. Because I'm tired of doing that work. Yeah. And that's what a lot of women who are overeducated, who are making more money than their partner, who are, readjusting their standards or expectations, have to end up doing when they get a man who is maybe a Steve, who's in the middle of that. Okay, I'm only going to date someone who I can provide for, and I'll date whoever I think ambition is sexy, XYZ.
Yeah. Yeah. I like... Steve really annoyed me this episode.
Did he?
He did. Because I was just like, it just so real thin-minded, I think. It feels so archaic to look at a successful woman and say, like, ill. Like, I can't.
Well, he didn't look at a successful woman and say that. He looked and he said, I can't go here.
He doesn't feel good enough.
He expressed that. I thought he expressed that pretty well. He didn't say, oh, you're successful and it's terrible. He never said that.
But it's still a punishment for her.
It is a punishment for her. Yeah.
Because she's still left on the receiving end feeling as if she did something wrong. Her success is wrong. And that's what really bothered me. And I agree. He expressed it very clearly. It's me, not you type of thing. But it's still her in the end because she's being punished for her success. And I just...
is singleness the punishment? Not being with Steve is the punishment? What's the punishment?
Yeah, her punishment is she can't be with this person.
Okay. Who she loves.
Yeah. He clearly is obsessed with her. He loves her too, but it's me, not you. Yeah. But you now have to also be punished because of what really is causing this chasm is your success. And that just it just seems so immature. It seems so, as I said, thin-minded, archaic. Like you also knew Miranda was the successful woman this whole time. But it really, something about her buying the suit and it being very in his face
is the expectation of how he has to show up. He knew he could not go into that room and be her man and walk around and socialize and be the normal, fun, happy Steve that he usually could be.
Yeah. Did Miranda, because we see her later pondering like, damn, is corduroy so bad.
Yeah.
Do you feel like she was in the wrong, or should she have thought through something differently?
No, I don't think she was in the wrong. I think she played a part in him feeling bad, but I don't think she's in the wrong. I think whoever made Steve feel badly about himself so badly that he can't walk into a certain room with something that he can't afford, that he can't accept help from a woman, that's the person who's wrong. Neither of these people are wrong.
Yeah. But when she was rethinking the corduroy suit, like, should I have just made him wear it? In my head, I was like, we're not doing corduroy suits, period. Like, just because, look, I own corduroy, so clearly I have no issue. But it's just the simple fact that, like, you're a grown man. You only own a gold corduroy suit. We not going out in no gold corduroy suit. It's high time. We get you a nice new suit. And that's the approach that I think I would have taken too, as somebody who also owns and loves corduroy. But yeah, I understand her kind of reflecting, but I'm glad we'll see where it goes next episode, like how it kind of resolves itself. But I agree that I don't think either of them are necessarily the blame.
No, I do think it's kind of to blame that she patronizes him by saying, like, oh my God, this pizza is so great. I love these dates. And then taking him to clearly like fucking
Brooks Brothers or whatever.
Like, we could have gone to Men's Warehouse.
Right.
We could have gone in the middle.
Yeah.
You know? Like, but taking him there and trying to then like kind of posture herself did not help.
No.
He was like, damn, I'm never going to get here.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if there's anything she's to blame for is like really not finding a middle ground. Yeah. Even him taking you out for pizza, which nothing wrong with that, but like she has this dichotomy in her head. Like, I'm of the Brooks Brothers ilk. He is of the dollar slice ilk. Yeah. And it's like, it don't have to be that extreme.
Right.
You can find a middle ground. The man's not homeless and broke, dead broke. He has a good job.
Right.
Like,
and let me put on this costume that I am totally fine with being the dollar store, Dollar Tree girl.
Right.
Until I'm not. Until I can go around my colleagues. Until I have to show you off.
Right.
Then you have to dress up as the Brooks Brothers guy.
Yeah. And that's not fair.
That's not fair.
So Charlotte brings up that, this is more than just a difference in income, right? It's deeper than that. It's a difference of background, education. We don't live in a classless society. I know y'all want to pretend like we do, but like, she's like, ladies, we don't.
Yeah.
So you said you had some experience. I would love to know your experience dating someone outside of your class, or just like how that was.
Yeah, the guy who I knew who had the most expendable income and the most jobs and probably the most financially savvy did not go to college. He got his GED and was a unionized worker. So that's why when the whole like Ebony K. Williams Ayanla bus driver situation popped off, why I was so passionate about that shit not being true. Because there are so many, especially unionized government workers, who have so many other businesses and who are so savvy with their money because it's so steady. And it's such a great, I think, path to wealth because it's stability. And for me as a creative, that's something that I was searching for and looking. And so when people put education and class together, I think even especially now, they do not go together with the rising costs of education and with the diminishing level of jobs that are out there for people who are trying to get that American dream and trying to get out there and do what they can and get a job out of college. And it's getting narrower and narrower for those people to even find jobs and recoup all of that investment in that education. It's getting harder to match those up. And in my situation, they didn't match up. And then even when I started dating my now husband, like he was not making nearly as much as I was making. We were doing the podcast and I was, I guess, 2 steps ahead of him at our job. And that's when we started dating. So I was making way more money than him.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't saying, oh, we can only go out for this because he can't afford it. I was letting him call the shots.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you can afford is where we going to go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was just so absurd and ridiculous for people to put those together, education and class together, and even job and class together. And I think it's nasty work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely hear you with the education. This is a whole deeper.
I know, it's so deep.
About that. Yeah.
It's so real. I'm about to start another book that I might loan you, friend, after I read it, or I can give it to you now.
What's
Lower
this?
Ed by Tressie McMillan Cottom.
Lower Ed. Okay.
Lower Ed. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's no surprise. College is completely inaccessible. The cost of higher education, and that's why you're seeing more and more people going to like boot camps or going the community college route, or just finding non-traditional paths to getting a job and building a career. Because, as you said, it doesn't always match up. Just because you have a college degree doesn't mean that you're going to make $1 billion, or doesn't mean that your job is going to be, or your current job is so well paying, because it just, for so many other reasons, it's just not how that's working currently in this country. But yeah, I thought it was interesting with Miranda. Yeah, Miranda's just like viewpoint of Steve, even the way she spoke about him with the ladies, as if he was like inept in ways.
Yes. Yes.
If there's anything she's guilty of, it's that.
Yeah.
You know, he's just a bartender. He doesn't, and even the way she thought about him, like he was just so broke and just like can't figure out how to button his pants. And like, I don't just, she made it seem like he was totally, and I think that's maybe how some people, that's why some people have it in their head that like dating across class lines could be so like, oh my God, because they literally think people in a different class are living a completely different existence, which in some ways they are. They're experiencing the world. People in the higher class than us or lower class, they just have different experiences of the world, but that doesn't make them inept in ways.
No, it doesn't mean they have no ambition either.
Doesn't mean they don't have an ambition.
When Charlotte was like, oh, his future is tips, I was like, his future could be owning that bar.
Yeah, right.
Like, what do you mean?
What do you mean? Or Miranda saying like, oh, he can only take me out for dollar slays. As you said, Crunch figured out how to date you. Yeah. Even making less money. You know what I mean? But yeah, I've not dated, I feel like I've not dated someone from an extreme different like class than me, but I can imagine it can feel, as I'm curious to hear people writing in the comments, if you've dated someone like, if you've been like a Miranda lawyer dating like a bartender or something like that. Because I can imagine that very distinct difference could feel akin to dating like interculturally or interracially, or like if you're from fucking Greenwich, Connecticut and you're dating some dude from the Bronx, like that's a different life. Like I can imagine there's a learning curve, there's a gap of knowledge for you and for them. I've not had that experience, so I can't speak to that. But it was interesting how they portrayed it in the show to make it look like one party was completely like inept, like on another planet than Miranda. I just don't think that's completely true.
And that there was nothing to learn from Steve.
Right. She was the keeper of knowledge and everything, and he had to learn her ways and how to infiltrate her society. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
Men never have to apologize for their success. That's like a huge thing with Miranda. She feels like she has to apologize. While, women have to apologize in ways that men don't. What do you think that says about our society? It's a big question.
That men don't have to apologize for success, but women do. Oh, gosh. I don't know if they do anymore. I don't think apologizing for your success is a very good idea.
Ever, for men or women.
Men or women.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good idea to do. I've never had to do that. I've never known anybody who's felt that way. I've never known anybody who's as downtrodden as Miranda was when Steve came to the door. I've just never had experience with that. So apologizing for your success, I'm trying to think about women who've had to do that. You're apologizing for success because you're trying to put a Band-Aid over a bruised ego.
Yeah, that's what.
So that's why you shouldn't do it. Because it's not going to fix it.
It's not going to fix it. I thought about Martha Stewart in the Martha Stewart documentary.
Okay. Yeah.
Because here we have this like self-made billionaire woman, and the men couldn't wait to tear her down.
Yes. Okay.
Right?
Yes. Right.
It's like, it's as if we're refusing, I'm just going to say men and some women, we play into this whole system together.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Are refusing to accept the reality of what's happened. We've opened the floodgates and women are all over corporate America. We're building businesses. We're in government. We're becoming billionaires. We're moguls in our own right. Beyonce is alive. However, it can still sometimes feel, because we live in a patriarchal society, as if, in the case of Martha, like we're moving out of turn. We're doing something wrong. It's unaccessible, unacceptable.
Yeah.
And I think, as far as the question of what does this say about our society, I think for Miranda to feel like she has to apologize or she's being punished for success, for women, everyday women today, to literally be struggling to find a life partner because there are more men than not who are annoyed or turned off by their success. That says a lot about, I think, men's and our society's outright refusal to adapt their way of thinking about the role of women and the role of women in society that has been for a long time. It's not like we woke up yesterday and started working. We've been working.
It's been a while, but it hasn't been that long. And we haven't made the strides, especially for all women, in order to really force men into making a change.
Or even just adapting their thought process. I don't even think making a change.
Adapting their thought process, yeah. But the change they would have to make is that they have to be likable. And they don't want to be likable.
What do you mean?
In order for you to provide for a woman who can already provide for herself, she has to really like you. Not just love you like Carrie loves Big, but like you. Because I don't think Carrie likes Big at this point. But he can provide so many experiences, so much good sex, so much stability for her as a writer, that it kind of supplements the fact that she doesn't really like him that much. As she said in the beginning, he doesn't really like her that much either.
Right.
So I think for these men, let's say a man like Big, they don't want to be that likable because they don't want to change. He said it so many times during these episodes. I'm not changing. I can't do it. I can't do it. You're making me do it. And I feel like I'm being pushed into a corner and I hate it.
Yeah. The kicking and screaming.
Yep.
The kicking and screaming.
You just have to be empathetic. You have to be emotionally available and emotionally intelligent. And they don't want to do that.
They don't want to do that. Yeah. And they don't want to adapt or compromise in any way. I want to be a provider. I will find me a little young thing to provide for. You're not my match. And this is the dynamic I want. I will continue to find this dynamic, and that's that.
Yeah.
Now, Charlotte, she's off on a bender. She attempts to date a celebrity.
Oh, boy.
Somebody like uber successful or famous and like in an extreme way. You're dating outside of your caste, right? For any of us dating a famous person, that's out of all of our classes,
Yeah.
Do you think it's just a fun question. Do you think it's inherently damn near impossible for a regular person to date a celebrity, and that's why they mostly date each other? Celebrities date among themselves.
Oh my God, maybe. Because it just seems like a lot of work. And they have so much power.
The power
is
imbalance.
So fragile.
Yeah.
That power can be taken from them in one instance, as we've seen with Miss Lively.
Yeah.
And Mr. Baldoni. So
true.
So I think that's probably why, because you can kind of relate to that power struggle, and then you're more powerful if you're with another celebrity than if you're with a regular person.
And yeah, I think like being with a regular person too, I can only speak from the regular person perspective. I don't know what the celebrity necessarily is thinking, but I just feel like it's inevitable that resentment can grow.
Oh.
when you're with someone where they're the center of the universe, not even just in your world, but in the world.
The world, yeah.
For me, there's personally nothing appealing about dating a celebrity or being attached to one. It just seems honestly like a rough life. Like it doesn't seem like an easeful life at all. And I just don't even know how resentment wouldn't build, even for the most well-meaning person. How I wouldn't grow weary at some point that everything revolves around your schedule.
Yeah.
And I have to act or show up in certain ways because you're the star of every fucking show every day of our life. You know what I mean? So I think, this episode was ridiculous with Charlotte, and this dude was like so extreme. But you even started to see Charlotte bending herself in ways to kind of appease this man who's part of this upper echelon that not even that she aspires to be a part of, but like just is already acting in the ways that she feels she needs to be with that type of person.
To climb up.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Similar with Carrie and Big.
Yeah.
Even the fact that she's going to this stupid ass party.
I know.
Because it's part of his scene and she's got to, show face or whatever. And she's clearly not doing a good job. She's wearing what the fuck ever, smoking cigarettes, like
making fun of the host, who she knows.
Like, God.
Yeah.
Now let's talk Carrie and Big. So Carrie says, I love you. He doesn't say it back right away. Honestly, he doesn't even acknowledge it. Like, just doesn't even acknowledge the moment at all. What are we to do with this, with Big? Because I
don't know. You got to break up with him. What the fuck?
I was thinking, like, it's okay to not say it back. If someone says, I love you, don't say it back. That's fine. Like, that there's nothing crazy about that. I think that happens every day. Somebody feels it first, says it first.
Yeah.
And people, like Big, as he acknowledged, are hesitant to say it because of what they've gone through in their past. They're scared. Love is, like, the most beautiful feeling, but also the most terrifying feeling. And when you say it, you can't really take it back. But why he didn't communicate that in this moment with her?
And why are you seriously dating? Why are you seriously dating anyone? If you really feel like if you're going to fall in love that you're going to fall off a cliff, don't seriously date anyone.
Right. Don't bring me to galas and parties and introduce me and I'm walking on your arm like your girlfriend if you can't even have a simple conversation with me about, you said I love you, I heard you, here's where I'm at. He kisses her on the nose and leaves this big giant elephant in the room. And then of course Carrie didn't say shit because she don't never say shit. She just acts out. She is a horrifying communicator. He is no better.
Oh, God.
And these two people are together.
Yeah.
And it's just, I love how they kind of scripted this moment. It was so true to Carrie. It's so true. She drops I love you in the most dumb way after he gives her a hideous gift. He says nothing back, just walks out the room, and then days go by and nobody says anything. It's so Carrie and Big. It's so infuriating. But yeah, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with someone saying I love you and somebody not saying it back.
No, me either. But I do agree with Carrie that there's a shelf life and it is that of a thing of milk.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And I do think there's nothing wrong with you not saying it back, but I think you do owe the person something in that moment. Something. Even just an explanation. I can't say it yet, but like you got to acknowledge it. He just didn't even acknowledge it. That's where he fucked up. Oh Lord, I think I'm sure I've asked you this before. How did your I love you go down?
Oh my God, I don't even want to retell it because it was so embarrassing.
Why?
It was so embarrassing. Well, first of all, I'll just give this tip right here, right now. You want to talk about what we can learn from reality television? Okay. I pulled a Bachelor.
What?
And I said I was falling.
Oh, we did talk about this. Yes. You did the steps. Yep. Falling. I have fallen. I am now in love. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh God.
So if you're really feeling it, it's on the tip of your tongue. And I know that feeling too, because it's like,
I know it. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's so intense when they do it on The Bachelor. I do feel for them.
I do. It's so terrifying.
I know how that feels. Yes. Yeah. So terrifying, but it's also the thing you want to say the most.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was crazy.
So you said it first?
I said I was falling.
You were falling. Okay.
Yeah. And then he said what Miranda said. basically, which was that he was planning on doing it some other way.
Oh, interesting. So he had been thinking about it, but was trying to
Yes.
present it in a way.
Yes. And he later told me some of the language that he used when we would say goodbye to each other. He would always say something, "You're the best," or something like that. I forget. But he was like, that was me saying
his
I love you.
replacement, his little epithet. Oh,
Isn't that cute?
that is cute. That's really cute. I think we all kind of subconsciously, I don't know what my one was or if I was consciously doing it, but when it's on the tip of your tongue like that, you were like searching for like anything else to say in place of it. Yeah. But that's cute that he was like conscious of it and it was like, no, I can't say it yet. I'm gonna say this. Yeah.
Because he wanted to have like a special moment and do a thing.
Yeah. Oh my God, adorable.
Yeah. Wait, what was yours?
Now,
the fuck?
Mine was, I said it first. I remember I wrote in my journal like 3 weeks after Nate and I became official that I was falling in love with him. So I felt it very early days. And it was one of those on the tip of my tongue type of thing. But I wrote him a letter that I gave him the day before. Remember that 420 party that I had in my apartment?
Yes, I do.
And that was like one of the first time Nate was being a lot of people. Yeah. The night before that party, I wrote him a little letter and about all my feelings and dropped the "I love you," and then he said it back right away and was saying like, I've been wanting to say it, but I've been waiting for you to say it first because
Yikes! No, come on, Nate.
he wanted me to go first because he was like, I felt it for so long, but it felt so soon to say.
It was early.
Yeah, it was early.
Yeah.
He's like, so I didn't want to freak you out and say it all premature, so I was just gonna let you do it first. And
Okay.
so yeah, it was cute. It was nice. It was like reciprocated in that moment, so I didn't have to like deal with what Miranda or not Miranda, Carrie's going through.
Carrie, yeah.
Now Carrie ends the episode. Everything before "I love you" doesn't count. Is that true? You said you love this, girl. What? No.
Girl, what did we just talk about? How these men are operating on iOS 2.0 and we don't know what to do with their feelings and we have to step around what they're doing and we don't know. Girl, go out and date whoever you want to date until you really in love with that man. Please. So tired of this.
So Carrie, from your perspective, she didn't cheat on Big that night?
No. Come on now.
Really?
No. The way that Big moves, no.
Yeah.
She's matching his energy. No.
Okay, so you're saying for Big specifically. Nope. Yeah.
Yep. And you have to get specific. When it comes to relationships like this, you got to get specific. So no, she didn't.
And we don't know what Big did that night either. I don't trust that nigga not one bit. So,
and I don't trust that bitch who was like, "Oh, Big, she was out."
That's right, whatever. The host. That's true. That is true.
It's Big. It's good to see you.
Oh my God, Justine, what did we learn this episode?
He's a smart guy.
Oh my God, I thought this episode was really, really good and interesting, just packed with a lot of thought-provoking questions.
Yeah.
My main one, though, and please put down below, I'm so sorry I didn't do this research before, but I know that marriages that are done when they're match made do way better than marriages that are IRL in real life and we're like trying to make it work together.
Yeah.
A big part of that is because they're in the same caste or class system.
We learned this on Indian matchmaking.
Yeah,
that's true. There's something to it.
I'm pretty sure that's true. And as someone who like I started out with my husband, I was making more than him. Now he's making more than me. And I know that dynamic changes quite often, especially with like my own family history. It is something that I'm going to be like grappling with for my whole life, probably, considering where each of our families come from and how each of our families have kind of like accumulated either wealth or poverty. And so it's going to be like a fight a lot. And there's a lot of emotions attached to it. So I still don't have like an answer. This didn't really answer any questions for me, this episode. It just
on whether
dialogue.
It creates dialogue, yeah. Because I don't think there is like a right answer. I mean, I think Indian matchmaking is a great case study of dating within your caste and the success of it. But we all know or are somebody dating somebody from a completely different socioeconomic background, and it's going well or it's not going so well. Like, I don't think there's like a blanket response.
Right.
But it is an interesting dialogue, and particularly Miranda's story, I think, is what a lot of women we know are going through right now, of like they themselves grappling with dating a man who makes less, which is completely unlike what we've been socialized as women.
Yeah, millennials are really having the toughest time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the men in turn are also struggling with dating, you know, the man who's making less, dating someone who makes more than them and grappling with those feelings, or the men who are making good money and out here dating girls who are boss bitches and don't like them or aren't attracted to them. And like, we're all in this fucking like
the storm of gender roles.
A storm of gender roles. Yeah. And it's just because we live in a different society, and these social norms and these narratives that we've all been raised with that are so, right now, they just feel so archaic, where the man is the provider and the woman stays at home. Like, that's, most of us were raised at this point with working moms. Like, it's just not been that way for a very long time. Yeah. So we're all kind of like trying to figure this out, which is why I think there isn't an answer. Like, we're in it currently. Like, they're doing the studies. We're being tested on now with how this is going to go with like the Mirandas of the world dating the Steves, and how successful those relationships are going to be, or vice versa, you know? But yeah, I think when all is said and done, never apologize for your success. That's like the one big takeaway. Never compromise. Don't dim your light to appease these men who are not for you anyways. You will find the right person who will appreciate your success. They'll find their way to you. You don't have to, you know, compromise. End up with a big who makes you feel like shit because he could provide for you or whatever the hell. Like, don't do that. Sound off in the comments, y'all. I think this was a really great conversation, this particular topic. Would love to hear you all's experiences, your thoughts. So sound off in the comments on Patreon. And yeah, rate, review, subscribe, join the Rose Garden on Patreon for more, and we'll be back next week.
Sure will. Bye, guys.
Bye.